Hi guys, we're back again with another episode, and be sure to check out the episode one if you happen to come across our baby channel, as we could say. We're trying to grow and inform the world while we're at it too. So
Yes.
yeah, today we're here. We're gonna talk about the most relevant subject in political news recently. Not just political, cultural. It really spans across everything. We're gonna talk about the tariffs coming from the U.S. against our great, beautiful country, right?
Yes.
So this has very much so destabilized the political landscape in Canada, and we're just gonna try to explore that and see if we can come across some good approaches that the federal government can use in order to basically fight off the tariffs, right? So I'm gonna pass the word to my co-host Chris, and he's gonna speak a little bit about he's gonna define the relationship a little bit, the trading relationship, and he's gonna speak about it in a historical context.
Yes. Yes. Welcome back, guys. So the trading relation between Canada and US is very important, especially to us Canadians. So as of 2024, Canadian exports to the US accounted for 75.9% of all Canadian exports, and the US represent two-thirds of the export market. So it's really a big chunk, and we don't really export to elsewhere in the world. So we are very vulnerable to any changes in the trading relationship. Um, do you have anything?
Yes, no, that's very much so true. Like we have like two-thirds of our exports, basically 75% of our exports. We basically our main consumer, main customer is the U.S., right?
Yes.
While we're only 12.6%, right? We only account twelve point six
Yes.
percent of what they buy as a country, right? So that's when there's a big imbalance, and that's why it makes us very vulnerable to economically, right? These tariff threats make us very vulnerable economically in terms of our viability in terms of as a country and stuff. So I'll
Yes.
let you keep going.
Yeah, this trading relationship exploded after the trade agreement called NAFTA. You've probably heard of it. It's the North American um, fair
Fair trade. Oh, free trade. Free trade. Hey,
free
man.
trade.
And we're learning too, right? We just learned these facts. So,
Yes.
it's the North American Free Trade, no, North American Free Trade Agreement.
Yes, that's
Yes,
right.
finally.
Yes, it was instituted in 1994, and it allowed Canada, US, and Mexico to trade freely amongst each other. But Trump, when he got elected in 2017, he tore apart NAFTA and created USMCA, which stands for the United States Mexico Canada Agreement. And the USMCA, it undergird the nearly 2 trillion in US, according to the US Trade Representative
Representative
Office.
of, yeah.
Yes.
So that's a big chunk, right? Like $2 trillion of trade volume between the three countries, right?
Yes.
Like the basically between North America. So it's a lot of it's very much so voluminous, and that's why it's very important to the economy, overall economy of North America by itself as a region, as a hemisphere. So yeah. And so, what I would add to that actually also is the fact that the NAFTA agreement, which was signed back in 1994, which was negotiated by Bill Clinton, he actually created it in the name of free trade. So basically, he wanted to open up the economies of Canada, of Mexico, and U.S. to work together to work together collaboratively and cooperatively, so that they can create a prosperous hemisphere, right?
Yes, yes.
So that was the idea behind it. And then what happened is because of the free trade agreement, a lot of because it didn't just encompass the Canadian Mexico U.S. relationship, right? The policy the view of free trade when was a policy that was applied worldwide, right? So it opened up the U.S. to all the, like, it broke down all the trade barriers, which allowed other countries to import to the U.S. at like a very low tariff, right?
Yes.
And then that caused the US to be deindustrialized, right? Because basically the companies that operated in the US with factories and everything, now they see that, oh, tariffs are zero. So they can actually go build a product with cheaper employment in other countries that have no labor laws and bring back those products back to the US for no charge, right? So that's why you see in America, like especially people that support Trump, like they come from rural areas, right? And that's where like that got impacted the most by the deindustrialization, because all those people used to work in factories in small towns, right? So that's basically one of the reasons why Trump got elected, right?
Yes.
So when he got elected, he promised to destroy the NAFTA agreement, and so he did,
Yes.
and then we got to the USMCA, which you spoke about, which it didn't really do much to change, to be honest, in terms of, because even though they destroyed the NAFTA agreement, it was built off of the NAFTA agreement,
Yes.
right, with the same type of guideline and formation, right?
principles, yeah.
Exact principles.
Yeah.
Thank you for So that's basically what happened. To conclude, regarding the USMCA that was negotiated by Trump in his first term, it took him. He started the negotiation in 2018, and it went all the way through in the 2020, and it took effect in if I'm not conflicted, July 2020, right? So that was basically right before he came out of office, right? So he really didn't preside over the agreement once it was concluded by him,
Yes.
right? So now we're gonna come a little bit to the future as of now. I'm gonna
Yes.
pass you the word.
Yes, as of now, or 2024, this data was gathered in 2024. The total goods and services exchanged between U.S. and Canada amount to 909.1 billion in 2024. So that's almost $1 trillion.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so it accounts, it's separated in goods and services. So goods account for 761.8 billion, and services amount to 147.3 billion.
Wow. That's
yeah.
that's a lot, huh? So we have like a big trading relationship. Like, again, that's why we're even talking about this, bro, because it's it encompasses a lot of stuff economically, right? So right now, so basically we're gonna, if you see, so you can ask yourself, how does he negotiate an agreement with Canada, after Canada, Mexico, and US, and then Canada, Mexico, and US signs it, and then boom, on his second term he comes back automatically, starting day one, talking about levying tariffs on those same countries that he has an agreement with,
Yes.
right? So what happened is, in when he got elected, right after he got elected in November 5th, right? Actually, this happened like a few weeks after he got elected, around November 25th. He literally posted on his little platform called Truth Social. Yo, it's the funniest. Have you ever seen like a president that actually like is conducting policy on Twitter, like a Twitter application? It's crazy,
it's
right?
crazy.
I guess we're in 2025, technological peak. But in November 25th, he literally posted on his Truth Social account that he will be levying a 25% tariff against Canada and Mexico. Why? Apparently, for Canada, which was a little surprising because Canada still don't understand, right? He's saying that there's a lot of fentanyl coming from the northern border to US, and he was complaining like because of the fentanyl killing a lot of Americans, and also because of the immigration, the illegal immigration flowing through the northern border, which a lot of people dispute because according to data and empirical evidence, most of the fentanyl that flows into the U.S. flows through Mexico, right? Apparently, it was 9,500 kilograms of fentanyl was flowing through the flowing through the U.S. Mexico border, while only 1% was of the fentanyl that's found in the U.S. was flowing through the Canadian border. So Canada was also asking themselves, like, what did we do to cause this when it's not the same ratio, but you are charging us 25% tariff, and you're charging them 25% tariff. And then, so what happened is, once he posted that, he said, oh, he's gonna charge them 25% for the fentanyl and immigration also, because he was talking about illegal immigrations coming through Mexico and coming through Canada, right? So when he said that, our dear Justin Trudeau, he got so worried that he visited him as president-elect to his home without even, like, he was a prime minister, right? Trump was just elected. He wasn't officially the leader of America at that point, but yet he made the weak ass move of visiting him. This is just my opinion, not on the facts, of visiting him to his home without even him being officially president yet, to try to convince him into not charging us tariffs at 25%, right? Because obviously, based on the numbers that we said earlier, we are more vulnerable when it comes to tariffs than the U.S., right? When they charge us tariffs. Yeah, so he started from there, and then he went into office in January 20th. He started his term, and then he decided on February 1st that he would charge the 25%, and then when February 1st came, we were charged 25%. And then 2 days later, he decided that he will exempt the products and services that was agreed to under the USMCA, which, remember, I said he negotiated, right? So he exempted all the products that were agreed to except some key industries, right? Aluminum, steel, auto industry, which also is related, and energy, right? So those, which kind of is crazy in a way, because the reason why we have a surplus with them is because they buy most of our energy, right? They buy most of our energy, and we sell most of our energy to them. So after that, he kind of backed off a little bit, decided to give some exemptions. He ordered his what's it called, Treasury Department and Commerce Department to come to give him a review of all the trading relationships that the U.S. has with the rest of the world, right? Because he basically, on his second term, he wanted to review everything, right? So he said he expects that on his desk by April 1st, right? And then remember, April 1st came. They decided that April 1st came. He said, okay, to April 2nd will be called deemed the Liberation Day. I don't know if you saw it online, where he was giving, with the little poster that he had all the countries with
that's
each.
what it was for.
Yeah. It was for the rest of the world to see, right?
Okay, I didn't
so
know.
basically, he used that, and his logic was crazy, because all economics, even me, I'm kind of, a little bit doubtful of the experts, but the experts say it's ridiculous to see a trade imbalance based on the how much one country sells you versus how much you sell them. So he gets mad when America does a business with a country that sells them more than they sell them, right? That's how he sees the unfairness of it, right? So all the countries that had a surplus, meaning that sold more to the U.S. than U.S. bought from sold them, he charged them higher tariffs, right? So we were part of those countries, but the reason why we were is because we sell them more energy, right? So that pushed us over the surplus line. We're only surplus by $62 billion, So yeah.
What does surplus mean?
Surplus means like, so basically, uh, um, Canada sells basically more energy to the U.S. than the U.S. sells Canada energy, right? Okay. So because of that, there's an imbalance. That means like they're able to sell, like their workers sell less to us than our workers sell to them.
They're more dependent to Canada.
Yeah, exactly, right? So they see that as a negative, right? So anyways, he dubbed it the Liberation Day, the day April 2nd, right? So when that happened, like the stock market fell, all those things, like, economically people were like, very nervous, like, and all that. So he put a boom, he's like, okay, I'm going to put a 90 day, what's it called? 90 day, like, I'm going to pause for 90 days in order to renegotiate all trading relationships, right? So he basically paused all the charges prior to 90 days, right? And when those 90 days came, unfortunately, our government was not able to extract a deal with the US, right? Based on us not being able to, I guess, satisfy his demands, right? That's the only way you can put it. Which is not our fault, because we already had an agreement with him, right? And he just came out of nowhere, started charging us these crazy tariffs, right? So from there, we were 90 days after April 2nd. I think it gives it around about August, right? So by August, all the countries that weren't able to make a deal with him, they got charged at the same rate that he proposed on Liberation Day, which was April 2nd. Which we are now in August, right?
What's the rate?
The rate is at 35%. So basically, countries that do very little business, like basically all the countries in the world, flatline, he charged them 10%. But the countries that does a lot of business with the surpluses, he charged them based on their surplus. They came up with this equation that was crazy based on their surplus. It varied from tariffs went from 10%, from 0% generally for all American, business countries, to like from flatline 10%, and it went to 50%. China it was at 1.145, bro. 45%? Yeah, no, 145%. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It heated up. So now we're asking ourselves, why wasn't, after Carney was elected, basically based on the fact that Canada was attacking, US was attacking us economically, and because he has an economic background, he was elected to deal with that, right? So now, how did we not get a deal within that 90-day period, while other countries like UK, like Mexico got a deal before us, because Mexico got another 90-day extension, right? But even that 90-day extension, if we would have gotten it, it would have been better for us than getting the 35%, right? So this is where we're at, and now we're going to talk about the different approaches of our two leaders that led us into this situation, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about the different policies that the leaders of Canada would have adopted. So during because this last year it was election.
Yeah, it was an election year.
Yeah.
And this was basically the main issue. Basically, they ran on this issue because it was the one that was relevant and on people's minds.
Yeah. So Mr. Pierre Poilievre suggested that if he would get elected in the election, he would diversify the economy of Canada, so to export to other countries other than the US. He already does export to other countries, but he wanted to diversify it more so that we don't really rely too much on the US.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'll just add a little bit to that, because just in an example like energy, right? He was very energy focused, because obviously energy is the baseline of everything we do, especially today in the age of technology, right? Every country needs to be powered in order to have a good economy, right? So what he was thinking, although the liberal Mark Carney, they tend to be more restrictive on energy exports because of the environment, right? They don't wanna extract natural gas and petroleum from the ground because they deem that to be environmentally risky, right? So they end up kind of more focusing on solar, like environment friendly energy sources,
Yes.
right? But so him, because he's a conservative, and like conservatives tend to be, not care less about just don't see it as an urgency as liberals do, right? So he wants to really focus on energy, because that's true though, energy keeps people rich. If you look
Yes.
at Saudi Arabia, right, and all that, without
Yes.
their petrol, there will be nothing, right? So they got rich off of that, and Canada has a lot. It's probably the top five of energy rich countries in the world,
Yes.
right? So instead of being restrictive about that, he's like, okay, my policies will be focused on, because right now we only sell to the US energy, right? So he wants to build an infrastructure that allows us to sell energy to the European countries which desperately need it, right? And other countries which is in high demand, right? So you can talk about what Carney said as of recently.
Yes, so Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, he suggested that he said, building Canada strong. That was his slogan.
That's
You can interpret it however you want.
It's a slogan, But yeah, keep going.
So he suggested that the federal government, provinces, and territories should work together to cut down trade barriers between provinces and territories in order to build the Canadian economy. Yes, that was his
Yes.
policy.
So yeah, so basically, if you look at a baseline, bro, we're gonna talk about like they're not proposing anything different from each other, basically, right? They're both proposing diversity, like diversifying our economy, right? Basically right now, if you think about it, Canada has one customer, the U.S. Main customer, the U.S. 75 plus percent sold to the US, right? Now, instead of having one, we want to have more than one. So that way, when we have a problem with one, we can go somewhere else, right? We can increase the sell somewhere else, or be able to. It won't be at least it won't account for 70% of our exports at least,
Yes.
right? That puts us at a very vulnerable position. So that's just a normal policy to have in this situation.
And I would add to that, that's why you see Canadians are now very, they're very, some of them are very frustrated of the
Yes.
tariffs. And that's why you see on the news, it's always on the top stories, because it really impacts Canadians. And you see we're very, US accounts for 2/3 of our
Exports.
exports. So that's why you see it's a very important subject. So I believe that diversifying would is better, but we'll talk about that in the
In the
later
later segment.
Yes.
But like you said, right? You can even see the frustration in Canadians, right? To the point where now Canadians don't even buy. When they go to the grocery store, they make sure not to buy US made
American,
products,
yes.
right? And then if you look at also, how some Canadians, they always go to Florida in the winter time. Like, I mean, the ones that do well, because bro, we cannot do that here, man. We don't have those, we don't have those resources, Hopefully we will one day, but so yeah, like some of the Canadians that go there for the winter time, they cut that in half. Like some people even that owned property in the US started selling the property. Yeah, man, they started selling their American houses and assets because they were so, like, they felt so attacked by the fact that the new administration is hitting Canada. Not to mention the tariffs, he was also attacking our sovereignty, as we've discussed already, we've defined the relationship, the trading relationship, and how important it is, especially to Canada's economy. And we talked about a little bit about the history and what's the current numbers, and we talked about the different approaches. Now we're gonna talk about our opinions, because I think that's where we can go off, really, because I'm a little bit frustrated with the current leadership of Canada, because they, if you look at, basically, I'll give you a small comparison, right? If you look at the UK has a liberal, quote unquote, like a leader that's more on the left side, which is the opposite of where Trump is. He's more on the right side of the political spectrum, right? Even though with that fact, he was able to get a good deal from him, rather than, like, and why not us, right? And the only difference is Mexico with the same thing. Mexico has more drugs flowing into their from their country to America. They have more gangs. They have more illegal immigration flowing from them than us. Why is he attacking us harder than them, right? It's because we're now using the proper approach with Donald Trump. Because when it comes to Donald Trump, obviously we all know he's a narcissist. Whether you like him or not, you will recognize that, right? And the best way to treat a narcissist is to stroke his ego when you need to, and to stand up to him only in private. What I think, man, Donald Trump conducts like business in general, right? He runs the country based on personal relationships, right? He doesn't look at numbers, trends, like, he doesn't talk to, like, he doesn't basically base his decision on scientific data or like material, like, or things that, like, the American government comes to him with, right? He based on he's an instinctual leader, right? So so it's very important for him to see you as a person that he can do business with, and our leaders so far has failed to do that, right? And I know why they failed to do that, because they have to stand up to him strongly, because they have Canadians as audiences, because Canadians and majority of people hate Donald Trump, right? So Canadians hate him. So if they go there and start, like, being nice to him, like, start smoothing over his ego, like telling him the things he wants to hear, it will look back to them domestically, right? Like it would look back to them, because, bro, there's literally people that only back the liberals because of Donald Trump, because they hate him and stuff, right? So to me, I think since they can't do that, I think what they can do best, bro, as of right now, is literally to fight back with the same tariff levels and literally wait them out. He has 3.5 years left, right? He has 3 years and a half left. He's not going to be president forever. So do your thing, wait them out, and obviously it's going to hurt us a lot, right? Because, like, factories are already hurting, like car parts factories are already closing, right? And all that. We're already seeing but just wait them out. If you're not able to get along with them like other leaders, if you're not able to pump him up, like, show him that you respect him and all that, and give him what he wants from a personal standpoint, not from, like, obviously, like, don't give up demands and stuff like that, right? Then if you're not able to do that, or you can't find the courage to do that, just wait them out, That's, to me, that's my final solution, because definitely I love Canada, bro. I'm thankful I'm a Canadian citizen rather than a U.S. citizen, because I think this country is the best country in the world, and I'm always standing with my country, So that's what I got to say on that.
What I think Canada should do in this trade war, as they call it, is I want to ask you a question. You say Canada should impose a
reciprocal
tariff, and then wait them out.
That's like the extreme, right? That's like the extreme, like, okay, like we are not able to deal with this person because they're not going, like, first of all, they're not respecting us, they're not respecting our sovereignty, because you're talking about annexing Canada, right? And we don't stand for that. But that's also if you can't find a way to get along with them, because I'm one of those people. If you find yourself in Donald Trump's good graces, I find it that you're gonna get everything you want, right? If you look at the Mexican leader, bro, she's damn near a socialist, but Donald Trump has spoken to her multiple times, and from what he says about his interactions with her, he's very impressed by her, and he likes her personally, right? And that got them the 90-day extension, right? While we got hit with 35% on August 1st, right? How is he treating Mexico better than Canada when Canada is more of a closer country to him as a Western, as a Western civilization, right? Because Canada and the U.S. they have British ties, like it's basically the old British Anglo-Saxons that created both systems, right? So there's more of a closeness, of a familial closeness than Mexico, but Mexico is being treated better. That just tells you how he's a transactional guy who's only basing it off of the relationship and how he's getting along with us, right? Because we also did some weird stuff throughout the trade war. Let's be honest, we imposed, we also do, right, our dairy agricultural, our dairy agricultural industry. We have higher tariffs on them. He speaks about that all the time. But yeah, go ahead to let us know your points.
Yes. So I just wanted to make sure I heard my friend well.
Yeah.
What I think Canada should do is, like Pierre Poilievre and Carney suggested, first we should break down the trade barriers within Canada, and then we should diversify our economy so that we can export to other continents, not just the US. I think it's simple to say it, but I know it's challenging when it comes to the action.
It's very complex, bro.
It's very complex. Do you have any other things
I mean,
say?
it's very simple, right? It's black or white, Either you become more self-reliant as a country, which Canada should have done million years ago, or you get treated like a little doormat, which is what that's what it is, right? Okay. So eventually we'll have to have some self-respect and become more self-reliant and actually try to control our destiny, in my opinion.
Yes. So we're just gonna close off that.
Yes, we're gonna close on that, and you guys don't worry. We're not gonna be the 51st state, no matter what happens. For that to happen, literally the world has to end, right? Because So yeah. Anyways, keep watching. Thank you guys for watching, and we hope you come back for our next episode. And we also hope that you enjoyed this. We just want to start a conversation at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
Exactly. All right.